Yo, what's going on, guys? And we got to see Jalen Duren lead the Detroit Pistons to a win tonight over the Atlanta Hawks, 99 to 111. It was a 14 point with a 17 rebound performance where he was obviously physically imposing his will against the Charlotte Hornets, who, it was Mark Williams, Jalen Duren. If you guys don't remember last year going into the pre-draft, people were arguing who's the better center prospect, who's going to be the one long term, and they both looked fantastic in terms of like right now in their career. And for me, when I look at this situation, I look at Jalen Duren, a guy, yes, he had 5 turnovers, and that's still going to be something, obviously we don't want him handling the rock or making too many decisions right now. But when I look at this team, you got a guy in Jalen Duren going 7 of 8 from the field. 11 rebounds, 17 rebounds, 11 of them being defensive, 6 of them being offensive. And then as well as being able to do a little, playmaking out of the elbow. And again, denying any presence in the paint by the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, Mark Williams only had 2 points, and points in the paint by the Charlotte Hornets were only at a 48 to 54. They shot 33. They made 33 of their 88 attempts, with 7 of those attempts being from 3. They took 28 attempts. So that means 26 of their points, 26 of their field goals attempts, if they were all 2-pointers, that means they were at, I'm so bad at math, 52. So only 4 of those points were mid-range jumpers, with 48 of their points coming in the paint. So it's not like, basically a little under half of their points came from the paint. So we're not going to sit here and be like, oh, the rim protection was insane. But what he did do was the team shot at 37.5, which shows, yeah, you know what? They weren't making them at a good rate. And I think that's credit to show that Jalen Duren's presence in the paint, not just as a shot blocker, but just as a presence, is what the interior defense was. I can't phrase that right now. There's a terrible phrasing right there. His interior presence led to the defense being able to, hamper the Hornets' ability to score inside. And even if he only had 2 blocks and you'd be like, oh, he didn't really have the presence, his presence was there. They couldn't score on him. And I thought that was one of the more exciting things to see about this game. As Al Burks, yes, he had 24 points, but it was Jalen Duren who just dominated the paint with 14 points and 17 rebounds. Jaden Ivey had 18 points, and Beef Stew had 11 of his 15 in the fourth quarter. Okay, they literally had their bench outscore the Hornets 58 to 19. Obviously, Cade Cunningham had 30 in the season opener. Tonight, he went 4 of 13 to end with 12 points. But of course, they didn't need Cade Cunningham to win this game. They were bigger, faster, stronger, more aggressive than the Hornets, and they won the rebounding battle 52 to 41. And in a large part, 17 of those 52 rebounds were from Jalen Duren. That's it. Physically and, imposing their will. We're talking about all the time, what is the best defense? They say a lot of time the best defense is rebounding, because when you rebound, you demoralize your opponent. You tell your opponent, we are bigger than you, we are stronger than you, we have more will, we have more grit. And when you do that, especially on the defensive side of the ball, you kickstart an offense. Okay, in transition, what's the best offense? Defense. And if you look back 2 years ago, for example, when the Dallas Mavericks were one of the best defenses in the league, they were actually a top 3 or top 5 rebounding team in the entire league. And a lot of people say, again, rebounding can sometimes end up really helping your defense get to another level. So I think that's something people need to consider. And it was a really fun game to watch when you watch, Jalen Duren have 6 offensive rebounds, while Charlotte's 2 centers, Mark Williams and Nick Richards, combined for 7 total rebounds. This is Detroit basketball. There were 52 fouls called, so people were flying, and bodies, it sounded like we were listening to Disturbed. The song, let the bodies hit the floor, let the bodies hit the floor. I can't do the sound, but I had a friend who used to do that. Wah, 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 wah. I can't do it, but you get the gist if you've heard that song. If not, you just heard me make a bunch of sounds like wah, Buffett from Pokemon. But let's here nor there, guys. And I think that's one of the more interesting things when you go to look at this team, just knowing that Jalen Duren has made it very clear that goodbye James Wiseman and Marvin Bagley being starting centers. If it's going to be figured out, it's because you guys are going to be power forwards. Let's be honest. But yeah, no, I definitely think it's exciting. And if you guys don't notice, I have like a light, and if you see, I saw the way how I have this light like balanced, you'd be very impressed. Either way, that's my thought. Did O'Shea Brissett get like hurt or something? Because he is trending and he played 2 minutes, so it's not like he mattered. Either way, he just had a big dunk. But yeah, I want to hear your guys' opinions. If there was anything else you guys would have liked to hear, I got more videos to make, got things to do. I think that definitely the part when you look at the Detroit Pistons, it's like a team that at the first game you're gonna be like, okay, the Detroit Pistons aren't gonna be good. I'm a guy that I was gonna go into year 2, with Al Burks, Bojan Bogdanovic, and the rest of the guys. It's like this team's gonna figure out they're gonna go to the playoffs. It's going to be exciting. Like we're not gonna have another year of being in this like perpetual loop. By the way, shout out Cookies and Cream for like these highlights. But yeah, like I definitely think it's interesting to see how it's all gonna play out. Because will this be a team with Monty Williams that we're starting Asar Thompson? Are they going to be good enough defensively? I mean, they played the Charlotte Hornets. We're not going to sit here and be like this was like the perfect challenge to figure out how good they are, because it's not. It's Charlotte Hornets. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry. Hopefully, they prove me wrong and they do something else. But yeah, no, I think when you look at this, this is going to have to be solved in terms of who's going to be the pieces that fit. Obviously, I think Marvin Bagley and James Wiseman, guys that they maybe move away from in the future. I think Beef Stew and Jalen Duren make sense in the front court. You got yourself Asar Thompson, then you got yourself, all right, our guy Jaden Ivey, Kate Cunningham there. I mean, Kellyan Hayes, I don't think is long term. Bojan Bogdanovic isn't. You got yourself Al Burks, who isn't necessarily long term either. But then you move to the bench. Who's going to be there for the bench? And I think you start to wonder, like, okay, this is going to be a team that if they're going to take it to the next step, you want to think like, obviously they have the vets, but I wouldn't want, Bojan Bogdanovic to be that guy. Obviously, I think right now you got to capitalize on what trade value he'll bring you at this deadline, because there'll be teams that want him. And then Marvin Bagley, is there going to be a guy who's going to be able to, is he going to be a guy that's going to be able to bring you back a return? Is the same going to be able to be said with James Wiseman as either trade assets or players that you believe long term? And at this point, you have to believe that they're going to be your power forwards as well as your backup centers, because you cannot hamper or stagnate the development of Jalen Duren. Now, with Asar Thompson and Al Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic, I think that rotation's fine until Asar Thompson shows consistent three-point shooting, which you've shown flashes of, which is you got to be excited for, because at least that way you don't have to keep those guys on the rosters for too long. And I think that's where it really does get interesting to see how the roster is going to look like at the start of the next season. What's going to be the players that it's kind of the thing that the Thunder are going through right now. I mean, they probably do. I think they should get a guy like a Lou Dort would be cool if they could find themselves a Lou Dort. And I think that they need to figure out the roster. I mean, obviously they need to get good. The Thunder are ahead of schedule. The Thunder are actually a good team, or a team that even if they haven't figured out the core 6 to 7 guys, they're a play-in team at the very least, it seems like. But while the Pistons, we don't even know if they figured out their 3. That's here nor there. It's just evident that those two teams are in different phases of their basketball arcs, I think is the way to say it. It's fun to see how everything's gonna go, and that's definitely where I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section. Are you guys thinking that this is gonna be, a team that we're going to see the development happen sooner rather than later, or are you guys expecting the Detroit Pistons to be a dumpster fire for a while? I think with Monty Williams, the Suns weren't like an insane team the first year that Monty went there. I think they were just under 40 wins. And I think that's definitely something you have to be happy or excited that could happen for this team, that maybe next year they're going to be good. So let me hear your thoughts. Now to Derek White.